Hey there, it's the Camel again, and welcome back to, it's actually the final episode of Garuda. So, episode number 10, a really good number to end a project. But as always, I'm joined by the lovely Silvarret. Hey man!
Hey everybody!
I'm so happy that you're now here and we can watch at this final time-lapse video. Actually, you haven't seen anything before apart from some screenshots, but no actual footage. So, super happy. But it's the last time, right?
Yeah,
so,
exactly. I am completely in the dark as to what the hell is going on, and I already love it. I do like the idea of like starting to work with caves and stuff, but yeah, go on and tell your story, because I was definitely interrupting.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I said it already in the last episode on your channel. I'm basically working on some final details and some realism aspects in this episode. While there will be one aspect of realism where we have to talk about quite a little bit, because we had some talk about it yesterday, I guess, already. I'm not too sure about it, but we'll see later on. Some general things I've just put in to make this entire thing finished up. And I think there are a few more things we have to do, or I have to do off screen later on. So, for example, adding some picnic tables I forgot about. But in general, I just did everything which could be done, and I think it's now a pretty good point to end this series and release it somewhere in the next few weeks. Yeah,
I totally agree, by the way. Like, getting it to end at episode 10. I don't know who it was, but somewhere in early episodes, I do remember somebody saying that it needs to end on episode 10 because, OCD reasons. It's pretty sweet.
It is. And something I figured for quite a long time already, but I just didn't do it. I don't know why. I think because maybe I had some other ideas. But I figured that just this queue for the main coaster is way too short. I mean, it's still not as long as it could be, but I thought it should have some redo. So that actually people can stand in queue for quite a long time, because it was just way too short. So I just enlarged it a little bit by using the space which was left to the left part of it. And actually something else which I do like about queues in general, so if you do have some coaster interaction, and this queue actually haven't had any, so it's just in the little backyard of this temple, and then nothing else going on. And so if you just stand there as a guest waiting, you wouldn't actually see anything, because those walls around would also block the view towards the coaster. So what I wanted to do is to bring in an area where you can actually see the coaster, and you can see it 3 times, I guess. So it's like the first time going out of the station, the second time is with the big loop, or the 0G roll, I guess it is, and then again when it's coming back from the hillside towards this little park area over here. So I thought that could be a cool addition to the queue in general.
Yeah, I think it's really awesome. Like, having as much interaction as you can in general is really cool. Although I did also kind of like, to be honest, the idea of having the queue just inside this garden and have the coaster sort of just be this unknown monster that's like far out there outside of the walls of this garden, and you step out of the garden as soon as you step into the car and you go into the crazy kingdom of the enormous cliff rock faces and everything. But I already start sounding ridiculous, so that's probably the weirdest train of thought ever. But no, I think it works out quite well either way, and I'm really glad realistically that you made the queue a little bit larger, because it was actually pretty stupidly small before.
It was. So I actually think it's a good point to say. It's also a way to do it, like to have actually no coaster interaction in your queue, to make it really like. I do know coasters, for example, like actually the Space Mountain I did. Like in Space Mountain, you have a lot of interaction with kind of really nice theming, but the coaster, you just can hear it, and you see the brake run later on, but that's it. So nothing else, and so you just don't go into the dark. Well, a little pun there, because it's a dark ride, but you're just going completely in the dark as well, knowing how the coaster goes. So I think it's also a way to do it, but nevertheless, I mean, Space Mountain has a tremendously long queue line, so this one actually would have made no sense in terms of realistic layout. So it still is a little bit too short, but
I guess it kind of has to do with immersion, because I wouldn't say that interaction is always the thing that you have to have. It's kind of like, can you make a great immersion of the ride? So for instance, for some rides, it'll be great and immersive if you kind of enter the domain of the coaster already and you can see it flying by as you're standing in the queue. But for some rides, like Space Mountain, which is supposed to be in space, it's like supposed to be this experience that you only really get while you're in the coaster and while you're shooting up that or down, or I guess into that building. Like for a ride like that, you actually don't want to see the coaster from the queue because it's sort of like this big mystery. So I think it really depends on what kind of immersion you want to go for. But I think it works either way in this case.
It does. I think, I would have loved to make it a little bit longer even now, but I think it should be okay because there was simply no place left and no space left, and I just didn't want to do it like kind of forced, and that's why I just went with this little addition to the left side of the entire station and filled it in with a lot of foliage as always and a little bit of rock work and just the basic stuff, which we keep doing in all episodes, I guess. I like saying an episode without foliage and rock work wouldn't be a good episode.
True, it's like these little things that just go into everything.
Yeah, also today I saw again a picture which somebody says like with foliage everything looks better, and this always holds true. So really nice one though. There was somebody making kind of I think it's a Paris-inspired queue or Main Street. No, it's not a queue. It's
that was Ruble Trillions. And if I may be so bold to give that shout out, it's really amazing. Like his entire French project with an actual recreation of the Eiffel Tower is really awesome. So I greatly recommend checking that out. If there's some kind of link that I can force you to put into the description, that's probably going to be there at this point. But it is a really amazing thing.
We will do.
Sorry about that.
We will definitely do because I was really happy.
It's too good not to share.
The thing about Reddit, sometimes I do there do pop up some things on top of the list which are pretty much down to like a funny part, and it's not actually that great to be shown in a way of creation. But this time I really have to say that this creation is really, really nice, and I loved the entire style. I was actually at the first glance looking at it and thought it was a photo. I'm totally honest there because it was like so super well done. And
oh yeah, I kind of felt the same as well. By the way, speaking of really nice creations, I really like the sign already that you're building here.
Yeah, I actually
it's really cool.
Yeah, I think I have no idea how the English pronunciation about this would be, but in German we have a saying, if you just started something, it's kind of you have licked blood. I don't know if that's a thing in English, but yeah, if you just I think I need to explain on this here. When you first do something and from which you thought it would be bad, but then it turned out that you actually liked the thing. You start doing it more and more often, and you kind of start to like it. And then we say, "Du hast Blut geleckt," so it would be translated word by word. You've licked blood, as if you want to chase something. You just got into it. And so that's the thing with the sign, because when I was making the Space Mountain sign, which was super annoying to do because of all the little detail work, but somehow it felt so great with the result in the end that I thought, okay, let's do a little sign also here, and I think I will do custom signs more often in the future.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty funny saying as well. Like there are so many German sayings that no other language has. Like I'm pretty sure there are quite a few loan words in English as well from German, kind of for the same reason. But hey, I think there's a pretty pressing topic at the moment to talk about.
Yes, I think maybe I could already hand over to you. No, I'm just going to introduce what's going on right now. So I wanted to do a little bit of an addition to the Switch track you already started to do, and I kind of I think I was blended by my thoughts of trains. So I actually did something like a train switch track. I don't know how to call it, but actually, as you told me, and which is completely logic to be honest, this wouldn't work how I do it right now. So we will see a redo later on. But maybe you want to talk about what's wrong with this I'm going to do at the moment, because obviously after looking the video and after just spending a few times actually turning on my brain, this turned out to be quite logic.
Right. So there's my cue for 10 minutes of coaster renting. Fasten your seatbelts, everybody, because this is going to go mad. Basically, okay, we have the transfer track over here, and a transfer track is where you move the track back and forth in some kind of way to get the trains to the storage area and basically store away your extra trains. Now, what transfer tracks for coasters are different from regular, well, railway switch tracks in, is the fact that on a roller coaster you have wheels on all four sides of the rails, counting the wheels on both sides of the rails as well. So you can't actually build a switch track like this because it's kind of physically impossible. You kind of need the wheels to go through the steel somehow. So what coaster transfer tracks usually have is they either have a part of the rail that's like switching back and forth on another track, or they have, in some few weird cases, but these are pretty rare, and I think it's a typical like Vekoma or Arrow thing, they have a track that rotates to bring you a different kind of track. In any kind of case, transfer tracks in roller coasters are kind of weird because they move the track themselves instead of having a regular switch. And what Rudi just built was a regular switch, so that's the little issue there. And now transfer tracks are another enormous big hype topic for any kind of people who are interested in that thing. I do remember that Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 especially had like people who dedicated their life to transfer tracks, and it's actually really interesting. But yeah, that aside, it's an interesting topic, but it's gonna get a redo as far as I know somewhere later in this video, and we're gonna see a new old transfer track.
Yep.
At some point.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was doing, because I was talking to you about this, and yeah, as you showed me in the video, it was completely logic, and I just went there and did this. Yeah, and as I said already, so there is the redo. So yeah, as Silv was talking about, I was fooled by the internet and my stupid own thoughts about the railway switch track I built there. So yeah, I did a little redo, and you haven't seen anything of it, right, Silv? I didn't send. Okay,
no.
so let's see if I did correct there. So basically what I was just doing is, by the way, this piece which you're looking at right now, it should be a fence, I guess. So it's called wooden fence, but
yeah,
I do love the texture of it. You can use it for so many things because it's actually a modern wood texture, which is like it's not painted. I would say it's like a wood with a little bit of oil on it. So like really made this sustainable for any kind of weather. So that's how it looks.
Yeah.
And I think it's a pretty nice one for like kind of those little ways to the left and to the right. And additionally, it has this little iron feet underneath it, which works actually pretty nice, as if it has some little iron supports in it. So that's something I really do like. And I thought it could be used pretty well as this little sidewalk over there. And yeah, what I was doing then is to bring in some actual energy systems with some control terminals to this switch track over here. And also
that's pretty awesome.
And also try to kind of do something like a little bit of an electricity box on the other side, which you'll see in a few seconds. And I think all these sci-fi pieces do work so well in just doing kind of little electricity stuff because of their texture and stuff like that, and then you can just put in cables wherever you want to make them connected to actually something. And I actually made it towards the other side, so it would be actually realistic. And yeah, there we go. That's the new and hopefully correct transfer track.
That's really awesome. The only thing that I would have to say is that it's a little bit too good, if that makes any sense. There's a lot of machinery where you technically only need a few buttons to operate the transfer track, but it looks pretty awesome anyway. So I'll give you a pass on that one. It looks really cool.
My first pass, I guess, in all Coaster Nerd stuff we have so far.
Congrats, man. You passed the first course.
Yeah. There we go.
Now it's on to the next courses, which just keep on getting harder and keep giving you more homework.
Yeah, but as I said months ago already, you brought me into coasters, so that's fine. I'm always open to learn stuff about that. So anyways, I was going to open up your little tea house, which is already a few episodes old, but I thought now, as we are going to finish it, I will place in a coffee, which makes no sense because it should be a tea house, but we don't have tea in the game, so I thought coffee would be a good choice. The only reason why I just put it in was I was thinking already of people in the park, And yeah, when we do have people, it would be nice if they would walk around there. And there is simply no reason at the moment to walk over there. I just put in something to give the people a reason to go there. That's the only.
Besides, it actually does look a lot better. I'm actually really happy that you decided to do something with that place, because that was really hurting my eyes for way too long.
No, okay, I didn't know about that. I was like just a personal feeling to put in anything there, so to make actually a place to go for people. So because
yeah, that was totally
this
good.
area is just too beautiful to not go there. And yeah, so now we are going actually in the very last thing I'm going to build in Garuda. And yeah, you might wonder, because we do have maybe a little bit less than half the episode left. But I thought as a good ending, we should end with the same thing I've started with, and this is the temple. And I actually didn't do a temple after having the update, the winter update, and now the 1.2 update. So I thought it was a good time to actually do another temple over there. And this one will be like a little bit of the final addition to the big cliffside over there, because this temple will actually later on sit on the cliffside as a little bit of an eye catcher. When you're standing down below at the station and looking at the Garuda sign, you will see on the left hand side the station, and on the right hand side you can straight up look up to the first big drop of the coaster, which is then a little bit kind of sidewinded by the little temple which I'm going to build over here. So that's the story about the temple. Nothing.
Dude, I mean, I've already seen a picture of it, of course. It looks absolutely amazing. And I mean this with the lowest of no offenses. I mean, I hate saying no offense, because every time somebody says no offense, you already know there's going to be a dickish comment. But anyway, like, what I think is the best thing about this is that even though I like the old temple and the original station, this is so much better than the original building, and it shows that, you know, how much you've improved over the series of doing Garuda and over the past couple of months. And I think that's actually a pretty important statement. I think you do want to just keep on improving, and I think it's pretty obvious in how this building turns out. I don't want to spoil anything about it though, but it's actually going to turn out to be my favorite building in the park, and one of my favorite buildings that you've made recently. So if that promises anything, it should probably give a pretty good idea of how good this is going to look eventually. So yeah, I'm actually kind of looking forward to seeing how this is built, because I have an idea of what it looks like, but I have no idea how you actually got there.
Yeah, I must say that you really hit a sweet spot there, because it's actually, this building shows how much I have also improved by using the in-game mechanics to build a little bit more efficient, if that makes sense. So I kind of made this modular building, which I also mentioned in a little tutorial I made recently, that this is helping out a lot if you're just going in and build things like little modules and just put them together as Lego pieces then later on. But also the usage of these non-grid pieces and those grid pieces does help a lot. And also use this little trick to place down this roof part to actually be able to have a 1 meter grid and not just a 2 meter grid, because then you can just place down the roofs a little bit more close to each other while being on the grid, which is for kind of temples a really important thing, because if you do have the slightest offset there, it does look kind of strange. And to be honest, Frontier, if you're listening, with the current version of the 3D Gizmo tool, I'm pretty happy that I could use the grid, because I think with the 3D Gizmo tool I wouldn't be able to build something completely parallel.
I thought that was going to be the most mean speech ever, but you actually said it in a very nice way. But still, I totally agree. It's been very annoying recently.
So I always try to build pieces now that they can make usage of the grid. I most often find new ways to do this. Sometimes it's not possible, and you will see me also struggle later on with some elements, because I simply can't do them with help of the grid. But apart from this, I'm pretty happy how the building in general turned out in the end. I think the hardest part about it was the colors, to get the colors correctly in.
Yeah, that was actually my favorite part. Like how well they work together with just how white the white is on the building, and how well the rest of the colors work together. Like, it's a very muted kind of orange. It isn't too bright, and it still kind of lets the white shine. Sorry about the bad pun. But it works out really well with the golden color as well. I really like the color scheme of this. It's probably what makes me such a big fan of this building.
Yeah, it was also, I think some of the schematics guys had this as a topic in one of our talk shows. What's simply annoying about this when you do this is you can't actually see how the color turns out when the piece is selected, because there's this bluish kind of thing around it, so you can see that it's selected, and when you just adjust the color, yeah, it's a little bit bad. I found out that you can actually click the piece and don't drag it into the game, and then you might see it on the left bottom side, and then you can change the color in the user interface and not in the little window, and then you can actually do a nice kind of color adjustment without the bluish shape around it, but it doesn't work always. So it's really hard to figure out which color you will have to use. And that's...
that is a good point, though.
And that said, there is something else which was really hard to find out, and this was how I could make those doors, because I wasn't happy with the in-game doors so far, so I needed to do kind of something which is a little bit higher, but also really narrow. And I came up with those doors and to put them upside down to get like the texture in. And the other thing has to be stuck into the ground, as always, like hide something in and make use of the bottom side of it. But I'm happy how it turned out. So it's actually a big, how's it called? It's like those, how they're called, those big, long and narrow doors. They do have a name.
I don't actually know. I just kind of keep thinking of Gothic doors, which have like been a thing for a while as well. But yeah, you're pretty much forced to start sinking stuff into the ground with the doors that we have. Like, there's kind of a lack of large decorative doors, but that said, this door looks absolutely amazing.
Oh, thank you. I'm pretty happy that it turned out that way, because I think we also talked about this in Garuda. It's not that easy to actually bring those Christmas pieces together with wood and stone textures sometimes, because the color works so differently on either of those pieces. So I'm pretty happy how this works together with like the in-game kind of stone windows and the texture of it, and with the Christmas pieces which are really glossy and shiny. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I wasn't expecting that this would be working, and also I had to use some sci-fi pieces in, just because I think
you have to put some pieces in that don't actually fit the theme.
Just because of
you just had to.
Reasons. No, it's actually, I was happy how this little window, how's it called? I have no idea. Like this little part on the lower side of the window was working.
Yeah, I have no idea either.
Super strange.
But yeah, it does work out quite well. I also like, and this is just going way back, but the way you built the pillars, that I'm actually a big fan of how it looks. Like, it actually does look as if they're stacked stones instead of just being regular old simple pillars.
Yeah, that's basically the reason why I didn't choose to take the simple arch shapes. I was about thinking to use them, but I figured it looks a little bit better with those little tiniest of lines in between, to make it actually look like, as you said, stones in a way, which are painted just white.
Yeah, it's really cool. And I actually quite like the sight lines as well. I don't know how well you can actually like see it in the time lapse, but as far as I know, there is actually this really cool sight line where you're at the main plaza and you're looking toward the station, seeing the roller coaster going along these cliffs, and you have just this temple sitting on top of the cliffs in the corner, and it works out really well. I don't know how you like exactly planned this, but because I did see you cheekily putting the temple in a different place, and then that didn't work at all. But the place that it's standing in at the moment just works out really well for the sightlines of the park.
Yeah,
it's such
to be honest, I don't know if it was able to be spotted in the video. I just didn't see if it was in, but I did a lot of testing how it does look from the lower part of the station, and I just figured that it couldn't be on the highest part. It would have made no sense. So I was sure to put it somewhere over there, so like on the right or left side, but when I was seeing that the left side wasn't working, so I was putting on the right side. So it was kind of planned, to be honest, but I didn't know which side I'm going for. But I'm also really happy to be on this one, on the right side of the force. Okay, bad Star Wars pun over there.
I actually missed it. Kill
yeah,
me.
no, we talked about this
I
already
have
in
no
Garuda
soul.
a lot, I guess. so people do
Yeah,
already
we
hate you,
kind of
so don't
did.
worry about that. Oh man.
I love the rocks, by the way. They blend in super well. They're just subtle enough to kind of blend the building together with the rest of the entire area. I mean, rocks are a great blender, but they're not too out there to completely destroy the idea of the cliff. Anyway, I've nerdgasmed enough. This has probably been the most nerdgasmic episode so far. I really like how it turned out, and as we're kind of nearing the end of this video anyway, I really want to thank you for the entire collab. I have no idea how we're taking it from here, but it's been really awesome. And I think the park turned out really cool, and I'm really glad I just left the final episode up to you as well.
Yeah, thanks. I just can give all that feedback back to you. It was really a pleasure to do this, and I think apart from the actual working in the park and playing the coaster, I think we also improved by doing commentaries and stuff like that. And I'm really happy how this entire collaboration worked out, also with kind of exchanging some nerd stuff. I just remember us talking about creativity in general and the idea of kind of having ideas.
What is
and
art?
What is art? Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
and from there we also nerdgasmed about foliage a lot, because you had one episode where I just literally was placing foliage the entire episode. I do remember this.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
pretty
it was
cool.
really cool. And so yeah, I'm pretty happy, and I will fill in a lot of cinematic shots right at the end right now, so you can see how it looks. And I think we just have to see how we do a final video of it, and how we are going to release it into the workshop. And I think we can also grab a few blueprints out of it to each of our workshops. So
Oh yeah, true.
I think we will have a chat about this in the next few days. But yeah, first of all, thank you, Silv, and also thanks all of you guys watching this, because like while we had Garuda on your and on my channel, it kind of exploded. So at the beginning, I think the first episode on my channel had about kind of 3,000 or 4,000 views, and now we are just up to such a big number and so many comments and so many feedback. So I'm just blessed by all of this. And I did actually, I don't know if you could hear it, but I just clapped my hand because I was so happy about this. Anyway.
Oh, I couldn't hear it actually.
Ah, that's fine. Okay, I thought I might be maybe on my side better. I have no idea. But if not, guys, round of applause for all of you.
I kind of want to do a slow clap instead,
It does.
like Shia LaBeouf.
Oh no,
Okay, that was it.
I do have to find a meme now of him. I will put.
It's pretty funny. I mean, I guess you've seen that video, right, with like actual cannibal Shia LaBeouf. And when you look for the Citizen Kane clap, because that's like the actual old meme of the slow clapping, you actually get Shia LaBeouf instead
No
now.
way.
It's pretty funny.
That's cool. Okay, guys, I think time to finally wrap it up. I just don't want to, but we have to. And yeah, just say a last time goodbye to Garuda. And yeah, thanks for all of this, and see you in some future projects maybe, or somewhere else, or in Koali, or I don't know where. And on my channel, as always, with the next video. So bye-bye, and thanks, Silv, again.
Goodbye, everybody.